Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam Livingston. I am the Bitcoin Wizard, and I have a very fun one for you today. We all want to retire early to escape the fiat hellscape of doom, and we can do that very easily with Strike. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. You know, I was browsing the strategy website, and I noticed something. If I select Strife right here, it's paying out a 10% dividend with a 9.1% effective right now. But Strike is paying out a 9% effective right now, and it has the upside kicker with the convertibility feature. That's correct. Its effective yield right now is very close to Strife, but you get to convert it into MSTR shares. And I got this amazing idea. So gather in close, because what I'm about to show you is the most deranged, beautiful financial maneuver since your uncle tried to write off a jet ski as a business expense. This is the STRK Convexity Trade, also known as what happens when you stop pretending the system makes sense and start playing the game like a villain. But remember, this is not financial advice. This is financial jihad. It's economic terrorism against the fiat system. It is a legal loophole designed by a billionaire who wakes up every morning and decides to bully the dollar like it stole his lunch money. You're about to see how borrowing money and refusing to be poor can create generational wealth if you just learn how to play the game with zero shame. And you know who can help you with this strategy? Horizon can help you with the strategy. They let you tap the trapped home equity in your house, and then you can take that home equity and go buy Bitcoin. And there's no monthly payments, debt, or term limits. And guess what? You actually don't have to buy Bitcoin. You could buy Strike. But all I gotta say is that they are becoming available in a lot more states, so check them out in the description below. I'll talk more about them at the end of the video. And you guys know that I pick the supporters of the Bitcoin Wizard channel very carefully. I only do it with products that are built for Bitcoiners by Bitcoiners. I don't deal with that Ethereum XRP trash, okay? Firefish is the open market for Bitcoin-backed loans. You literally put in the terms of the loan that you want, and then you get to see who can give you that loan. So if you don't want to sell your Bitcoin and you want to collateralize it and get dirty fiat to buy something that is appreciating, like more Bitcoin or Strike, Firefish is an amazing option. You literally click request a loan, you fill out how much you want to borrow, let's say 15,000 bucks, boom, you select your loan period, your interest rate, etc. It is so easy. Their link is in the description below too, but now it's time to get to the meat and potatoes. All right, so here's the setup, and it's so stupidly simple that you could explain it to a congressional committee and they would still somehow find a way to screw it up. So I just brought up Horizon and Firefish, but HELOC interest rates right now are at 8%. So you could go grab $100,000 in home equity. This is just going to be my example, your $100,000. You get it at that 8% interest rate. And a normal person would do this to remodel a kitchen or add a deck or do whatever HGTV tells you to do when you hate your life, but not you, because you're going to do something bold, something reckless, something your parents would shame you for if they had any financial literacy whatsoever. You are taking this money and you are marching it straight into Strike like a degenerate with a plan. Because remember, right now the effective yield is over 9%. That is already insane. And an economy where your savings account pays 0.1% and the bank manager looks at you like you're poor enough to steal the pens in the bank. So you deploy all of your funds to purchase Strike at $88 per share right now. So Strike is going to pay you a dividend that covers the HELOC rate, but 9% is just the foreplay, because remember, the real action is the convertibility. You get to flip this thing into MSTR shares later, which is like being handed a free backstage pass to the only rock concert in finance that isn't completely fake. Now, of course, all of this hinges on the idea that Bitcoin's going to hit $1 million in the next 6, 7, 8 years, whatever, which, let's be honest, is more inevitable than Congress insider trading. You think Congress is going to stop printing money? You think they're ever going to balance a budget? You think they're going to suddenly develop discipline? Absolutely not. These people would mortgage the moon if it could buy them one more election cycle. So what do? We position ourselves in front of this runaway train and collect the debris like scrap metal merchants. So that's what this trade is. It's legal, it's elegant, it's borderline immoral, and it works because the people in charge have the fiscal responsibility profitability of a raccoon with a credit card. Borrow at 8%, earn 9%, get a built-in golden ticket to MSTR, and then you sit back and wait for Bitcoin to do what Bitcoin always does, which is go up and make the people who doubted it look like they eat paint. And that is the setup to this trade. Now let's talk about the strike position, which is really where you start to feel the sickness in your stomach that tells you you might be becoming a financial criminal in spirit, even though everything you're doing is absolutely legal. But the feeling is still correct. Congratulations, you're awake. You take your $100,000 at $88 per share and you acquire 1,136 strike shares. You now own more strike than 100% of financial advisors who still think Bitcoin is a video game token for teenagers. Great start. But this is the part that makes it feel like insider trading without actually committing a felony. One strike share converts into 1/10 of an MSTR share. So your pile of 1,136 strike shares magically becomes 113.6 MSTR shares the moment that you choose to flip the switch. And remember, this is not junk equity despite all the dilution FUD out there, people screaming dilution while the company buys more Bitcoin than the Federal Reserve could ever dream of. Let's be clear, MSTR dilution equals Bitcoin concentration, and that is the mathematical reality. You are plugging into a spaceship through a side door that the market has not priced correctly because the market is full of anxious people with liberal arts degrees. So this conversion mechanism is the key to capturing the convex upside as Bitcoin appreciates toward the $1 million target. So if you don't believe in Bitcoin or MSTR's inevitable ascension, just click off of this video, you don't get it. Now, I modeled out a little situation as to what will happen in a few years. Who knows what'll happen, but the results are pretty amazing if you just put in realistic numbers. Considering that strategy got 2/3 of a million Bitcoin in 5 years, I think they can get 1/3 of a million Bitcoin in the next 5 years. So on a conservative basis, I really think that they could get to 1 million Bitcoin. I do think Bitcoin could climb to $1 million. Therefore, they would have $1 trillion of net asset value. That's correct. 1 million Bitcoin, $1 million per Bitcoin, and that's what the math tells you. Now, I imagine that the amount of shares that MSTR will have to continue to sell to get to that million coin figure will increase another 35%. I bake that into my equation as well. And remember, strategy trades at a multiple. Who knows what the MNAV will be 5 years from now? I just put in 1.2. Now, with all of these inputs that to me are very realistic and actually quite conservative, that gets you $3,141 per share in MSTR. So your converted MSTR position grows from that $100,000 to $356,000, a 256% return driven by Bitcoin's appreciation and the premium valuation. And you're getting paid all of those dividends in the meantime while you wait to service the loan. And remember, the dividends are treated as return of capital, so you don't even have to pay taxes on them in the meantime while you wait. Your cost basis gets reduced, so one day when you do have to pay taxes, guess what? You'll be rich anyway, so who cares? If the Federal Reserve had any idea that this existed, they would ban it immediately and send Sailor to a black site, but they don't because they are old, they are confused, and they still think that gold is a thing. HELOC principal, which is $100,000, whatever, that is the cost of admission to this game, which sounds bad until you remember that you were being paid $54,000 in dividends at the same time. You literally made money while owing money. If that's not the most American thing you've ever heard, I don't know what is. So your net profit is $262,000. $262,000 created entirely out of leveraging your own house like a psychopath and buying a convertible preferred equity instrument that 99% of investors don't even know exists. This is the part where your traditional financial advisor is gonna start sweating through their suit jacket because you are outperforming their entire career with a loan and a coupon. And remember, what's the best part? You used none of your own money. Zero. You didn't dip into savings. You didn't pawn a watch cash and you didn't sell a TV. You borrowed against your house and turned that into a $250,000 profit like you're some kind of suburban hedge fund villain who finally snapped and decided to win the game. Think about if you own Bitcoin, right? Wouldn't you want to make a leveraged bet on a certainty? Collateralize your Bitcoin, go get a loan, and then just do this. But remember, this is not financial advice. This is financial jihad. So here we are, the final slide, the victory lap, the moments where everything comes together and you realize that you just brute forced your way into the upper class with nothing but a HELOC and the kind of financial audacity that should honestly get you put on a watch list. Because let's be honest, this trade is not responsible. This trade isn't humble. This trade isn't something that you whisper to your financial advisor at brunch. You need to understand that you are living in a financial war. It's just reality that the M2 money supply has appreciated at a 6.2% since the year 2000. And that's 6.2% per year. Do you know what that means? That means that your dollar loses 75% of its value in 22 years. That's correct. The M2 money supply expanding since the year 2000, 6.2% per year. Do the math. 22 years and your dollar loses 3/4 of its purchasing power. In this world, you need to play offense in this financial war for orange glory. You need to make moves that will make the IRS stare at your return like it's an alien artifact and ask if you meant to do that. And yes, you did mean to do that. You borrow money that you didn't have, you bought an esoteric preferred share that nobody even understands, and then you get paid more in dividends than you paid in interest. You deferred your taxes and then you paid nothing until Bitcoin reached $1 million, and then you converted it into MSTR like you were cashing in a cheat code. Remember, this country has the monetary discipline of a problem gambler in a Vegas strip mall. In my opinion, your HELOC can transform into $250,000 or more, even if you don't put a dime of your own cash at risk. And this is why wealthy people, they love leverage. This is why institutions bend the rules, kids. This is why billionaires don't even pretend to care about taxes. Because the system is a joke and you need to finally stop being the punchline. And now here is the real secret. Once you do this, you cannot go back. You can't return to normal life. You can't sit there clipping coupons or putting money into a 401k like some corporate lab rat praying for some 4% match. You have tasted forbidden fruit. You have seen the inner mechanics of the machine. You have realized that wealth is not earned, it is extracted. And that's what this trade is, a legal extraction mechanism, a socially unacceptable, mathematically perfect middle finger to the fiat system. A way to turn your home equity into a weapon and your preferred shares into a missile. So congratulations, you are now officially too dangerous to be invited to family events. And that is exactly where you want to be. This is the STRK HELOC Convexity Trade, and if this doesn't make you feel alive, nothing ever will. My name is Adam Livingston. I am the Bitcoin Wizard. If you like this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Nobody brings more energy than I do in this financial war for justice. I bring daily Bitcoin insights with more energy than anybody on earth, and I need your help saving humanity from fiat debt slavery. I would appreciate a comment for the algorithm as well. Have a terrific day. Do not party too hard. Class dismissed.
Once again, a special thanks to Horizon for sponsoring this video. Most people don't realize this, but on average, 60% of American homeowners' net worth is locked up in their primary residence. And with home prices more inflated than ever, Americans now sit on a combined $35 trillion in home equity. Now there's a way to unlock that trapped capital and put it to work in Bitcoin. Horizon helps homeowners unlock a portion of their home equity to buy Bitcoin. It is not a loan, so there are no new monthly payments. You keep living in your home as usual, and then later when you sell, refinance, or choose to settle early, Horizon's provider takes an agreed share of your home's future value. That is the trade. Unlock cash now to stack Bitcoin by selling a slice of your home's future value while you continue living in it. What makes Horizon stand out is that there are no term limits and you keep 100% of the Bitcoin upside. The Bitcoin is fully yours to custody however you want, wherever you want, with no risk of forced liquidation. If you've been sitting on a pile of home equity and are eager to invest in Bitcoin, this may be the product for you. Visit joinhorizon.com to see if you qualify and get started. Their team of experts will work with you one-on-one from start to finish. Transform your dormant home equity into Bitcoin today with Horizon.